Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear. I'm out on a hike today, as you can see, and it is time to do some testing on the Spyderco Tuff. I'm in a pretty decent spot here to do some testing. I've actually been testing a couple of knives today, and there's just lots of dead wood all around. There's a few patches where it's overgrown. There's just a good variety of stuff to kind of test this, test a few knives on. So right here, there is a dead, fallen limb, if you will, and I'm gonna go ahead and do some batoning on it with this. I guess first I'll do some chopping and then I'll do some batoning because I want to do both. Most people don't say you should baton with a folder, and I agree, you probably shouldn't, but this knife is a behemoth and it is 3V blade steel that is nice and thick. It's a frame lock with an insert, and I want to see what it's made of. So we're going to do a little bit of batoning with it today, and yeah, we're going to do some testing in a variety of ways, I guess. I'm just going to have fun with it. So this knife actually didn't come up in my pocket today, but I will say one thing that I have learned so far with the Tuff that I'm not crazy about on it is the pocket clip. Now, I usually love Spyderco's pocket clips, and I'm usually not that crazy. I guess I shouldn't say that. I don't always love Spyderco's pocket clips. I always change the PM2 and pair of 3 clips. Whenever I get a PM2 or a pair of 3, I change the one on my smock. I like to put deep carry clips on Spyderco's, but I'm okay with the way that their clips function, I should say. At least the way they come out of the box, the spoon clip usually works for me. I just prefer deep carry. That being said, this one, I don't think there's a deep carry option for. Let me see if I can see you through there. Anyway, this one is just, I don't think they make a deep carry clip in that configuration. Maybe they do, I don't know. Even so, this knife is gigantic, and putting a deep carry clip on it doesn't really seem to suit it, in my opinion. But what I'm not crazy about on it is, let me see if I can show you, the angle of like where you should start sliding your pants through, like threading your pants between the knife and the clip here. It takes a little bend downwards back toward the scale, and on pants that are like anything other than super thin, I have to like use 2 hands or like pull up on this to get it to go past the lip of the top of my pocket and then start the slide. Once it's on and in the pocket, it feels great. This knife actually feels a lot smaller and lighter in pocket than I assumed it would, and that I feel like it should just holding it in hand. But yeah, the angle of that entry point on the pocket clip, sorry, it's real buggy out here today, is just no good in my opinion. I don't like the way that that is angled. So that kind of bothers me. I actually went to put it in my pocket this morning, and let me see if I can show you this, if there's a good way. So these pants are not even that thick or anything, and it does not want to start. It just snags instead of starting, and so I have to like really kind of muscle it past that. Then once it's in, it's nice, and drawing out is nice. But yeah, getting it started. Sorry, that's probably a terrible angle to watch. We'll see if that looks okay when I go to edit it, but I can't even see the camera while I'm doing that. So anyway, we're here to do some cut testing, not to complain about the pocket clip, but the pocket clip is I don't really like it all that much. So let me get the camera set up right here so you can see me down there, and do a little chopping. All right, so this, I don't know if you want to call this a limb, a log, whatever. This wood here has clearly been dead for a while. It's hard and dry, and so is this piece. This is what I'll baton with if it comes to that. But let's go ahead and just see. Now, the nature of this handle makes me feel like it's a good spot right about here to choke back. If I use this kind of as my forward finger groove, and the rest of my fingers go back here, seems like it's giving me, oh yeah, it's giving me great leverage. That's awesome. Now, that angle feels really good for chopping. For actual use, I'm finding that angle feels a little bit weird for me. Maybe it's something I could get used to when I'm back here. When I'm choked up on it, it feels a lot more realistic to use. If I was using this knife for a regular EDC task, I would have my finger in this forward choil because that makes the blade feel a lot more controllable. Back here for fine tasks, it just feels too different to me having the knife come out at that angle. It puts the edge in a weird spot to like do precise cutting, but this doesn't really feel like that precise of a cutting tool to me anyways. So let's just have some fun. I'm gonna see if I can't baton into here a little bit. Oh yeah. It's working great. Yeah, I don't have any edge deformation right now. I can't see any evidence of that hitting the spine other than the bark that it left here, which is coming right off with my nail. Even on the corners, this still feels perfect. Yeah, this is real 3V, that's for sure. This is not soft wood, and it is, I'm hitting it hard, and I've got no deformation here. Great, let's make sure the lock up. Yeah, it didn't, I didn't have any lock stick after that batoning. Action still feels perfect. Let's see how my centering is. Centering is right where it was. Excellent, I really like that. This tip, it leaves like almost a pyramid shaped notch because of how thick that tip is. But yeah, that'll go right into material, that's for sure. I like the profile of this tip. It's almost, I guess you would call it a spear point. Yeah, that's really nice. Very cool. Let me find something else to do with it to show you, because this is a lot of fun. All right, so I have been making my way further up the canyon. You can see I'm hiking along the creek, which is surfaced here. Then where I started, it's underground back there. So up here, I can hike along the water, which is nice. Hopefully that sound isn't too loud. It's not that loud. Now there's a spot right up here with a bunch of standing fresh trees. So I'm gonna find one that's kind of in the way of the trail a little bit and use this Spyderco Tuff to see how it does at something that I do on the trail fairly regularly when I'm carrying a knife, which is every time I'm out hiking a trail. That if something is overgrown and in the way, I like to be able to get it out of the way. So I'm gonna find a spot that's overgrown, and then I will prop you up and just kind of clear it away a little bit. See how this knife does for me in a real application, because as fun as it is to baton through stuff just to see what it's made of, that's not something that I'm gonna do other than for fun, real, like in a real world application. If I'm batoning through wood to make fire, then I'm not gonna be using a folder to do that. I'm using a fixed blade or a camp knife, or I'm just gonna use an axe. Now, one thing that's really cool about this canyon is there's these funky little mine shafts in a few places. Let me show you one real quick. It's kind of a bonus feature, if you will. So that just goes into the mountain. This is the hillside here. And right now it's flooded because the water's running. I don't know if you can tell, the base of that door is probably a good, I don't know, 2.5 feet deep in water, at least as much as what's sticking up is going under the water. And that's just where it becomes like leaves and rocks. So it might go even deeper than that. And the first time I ever hiked this canyon, I found one of these just weird mines, holes in the mountain, right up that way a little bit. And that one doesn't have a door on it. And it's just like an open cavern. It's not a cave, it's clearly man-made, but it was like super spooky that day. It was really overcast. I was up here alone, and it was the first time I came to check this canyon out, and it was super sketchy. I was shining my light in there, and I was fairly certain I was gonna see a bear come crawling out because it was winter. I don't know if, I don't know. It could be a likely spot for a bear to bed down, but This one, not so much, because it is full of water right now. And I've tried opening that door before. It's like really jammed shut. And yeah, so the mystery of the mountain. There's our little flooded mine. I don't know what it was for, or what it does. The one over there has a date on it, but it's like, I feel like I'm gonna butcher it if I try to remember. It's at least 100 years old. Let's say that. Maybe it's more, but I don't remember. So if I happen to spot it, maybe I'll show you that one too. But this should be, I think I see a spot that's overgrown. So I digress. I'm gonna go chop through some stuff and show you that. You'll probably find that more interesting. All right, so this is a perfect example of kind of like a choke point that's constantly getting overgrown in here. There's actually a lot of this stuff that you can see where it's been cut. Even this is something I came through. That's a thick, like wrist thick piece. I went through that with my folding saw at one point. This is coming right over here. But yeah, this stuff just constantly grows in, and this is the only way, foreseeably. I guess there's kind of another way, but it's way sketchy. This is really the only way down through the canyon. So this spot's kind of a loop. Sometimes I'll start up there and I'll hike out this way. Sometimes I'll come up through, but either way, I always come through this spot. And so anytime that I see stuff that's just growing over, I just chop it, because it's just gonna get thicker and thicker. And this makes it pretty easy. I like that quite a bit. Go ahead and there's actually this really sweet kind of like, it's not a cave, it's really just a rock that's not done falling over yet over here, but there's this really cool spot under here that it looks like some animals kind of bed down in every now and then. But yeah, this is all right. I'm gonna leave that. But yeah, this side. Spyderco Tuff certainly works for helping on this kind of stuff. I like that a lot. So, gonna pass this test. Yeah, I guess after using this knife a fair bit today, I can't tell if I'm at a good angle or not, but after using this guy a little bit today, I really like the Tuff in this application. This isn't a knife that makes a ton of sense for me to carry like as a real EDC outside of the mountains. It's just not slicey. It's definitely thick behind the edge. The ergos, like I mentioned, for fine cutting tasks, if I'm gripping this knife on the primary grip, it's just a little cumbersome with that angle. Up here, it's more usable, but again, it's still not super slicey, whereas most of my like EDC tasks require a slicey, like kind of fine cutting instrument. This feels like a folding chopper. It's like a hand axe, and I really like it for that reason, but it means it's kind of one-dimensional. And so out here, it shines. I really like it. I would change the pocket clip if I could, but there'll be a full review coming soon. I just wanted to do an update, show it in some use, and make sure that it could stand up to this kind of stuff before I got any further with reviewing it, because I want to be sure a knife called the Tuff is actually tough. But yeah, it's been fun using it out here today. So there's a giant lizard right over there. Anywho, that's going to be that on the Tuff, and I'll check in again on this guy soon.